I'm tired of passing CSVs into an AI agent chat. Is there a better way to feed data to the agent? Alright, AI is all about context and how you treat it. In my videos about building an AI advisor, I have preloaded the context at the moment of the agent creation. By the context, I mean static files data, screenshots, statistical data, etc. What if I want to load context dynamically into the conversation? And what if I want something to be executed remotely during my conversation with AI? I'm running an AI trading recommendation agent. All recommendations and aggregations are stored in MongoDB. And I want to go with AI through the recommendations and the data context to tune up the trading advisor prompts. By the way, subscribe to the channel to get economy, news aggregation and trade setup advices. I will share a link in the description. During the conversation with the AI, I want to refer to and dynamically load the data stored in the database. For that, the MCP server is a way to go. What is MCP? The Model Context Protocol MCP is an open standard introduced by Anthropic that allows AI models, LLMs, to seamlessly connect with external data, tools and software systems, acting like a USB-C port for AI. It eliminates a need for custom integrations for every new tool, enabling AI agents to read files, query databases and use applications like GitHub, blah 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 blah. Well, it's an API for AI. The semantics are simple. There is a tool and there is a resource. A resource to fetch data, good old get. The tool to execute something, good old post. Why not just feed Swagger to an AI? Sure, you can do it, but in this case the model will use context and tokens to digest Swagger, and there is no guarantee if it will digest it without any hallucinations. In case of MCP, you hopefully have an extended description and the interaction schema, so LLM will have few options to get lost in the interpretation. Together with a verbose description, you have to provide a message payload type schema to enforce type safety on your communication. Let's go. There is one caveat with how LLM connects to MCP. It does not use good old REST or sockets. There are three other options. First, standard input-outputs work only with the local MCPs. Can you imagine? LLM is reading the MCP console output, so 90s style. The second option is server-side event, another old-school server-side event when the server pushes notifications to the client. And the third one is streamable HTTP, just an open HTTP connection, so the client and server can exchange data bidirectionally. To communicate with MCP, I will be using the Claude Desktop. It immediately limits me to the standard input-output connection type. Claude Desktop currently supports only standard input-output for MCP servers to ensure security and simplicity. By spamming servers as local subprocesses, Claude maintains strict boundaries, avoiding complex network configuration while keeping tools securely on your local machine. We will have to keep in mind when we are prompting AI agent to generate the initial code boilerplate for the MCP server. Of course, I will use AI agent to generate the code. No point doing it manually nowadays. I will create a new Git repository and I will create a new npm project in the folder Colossus MCP Demo. Right, I will choose Colossus MCP Demo name and everything I will keep default. To build a MCP server, I'm going to use GitHub Copilot, and here is my prompt to the agent. In this project, set up a MCP server, use TypeScript is built and bundle module resolution, use the MCP SDK, It's a link to SDK from Anthropic for TypeScript. Add one sample MCP tool, and as a connection, use standard input-output connection type. I hope the agent model Cloud Opus 4.6 will understand what exactly I want to get. Nice. Now there is some kind of plan. It fetched the SDK. Agent is installing dependencies. So it's MCP server, it's Zod, TypeScript is built, and types for Node.js. Everything what we could expect. Cool. Now Copilot has done its job. So we have index.ts file, we have the MCP server, we have MCP server name, we have exactly one tool registered, we have the main function. It uses standard input-output server transport. We have one tool, call it getGreeting, and we have a build, and even more, we have the configuration for the Cloud Desktop. To add an MCP server, open Cloud Desktop, go to Settings, go to Developer, click on Edit Config, open the config file. In the config file there is a section of MCP servers, and let's copy the MCP servers configuration to MCP configuration file. To make the change work, we have to reload the Cloud Desktop. When the Cloud Desktop is starting, it starts all the MCPs it configured to be running. You can go to Settings, you can go to Developer, and now you can see the Colossus MCP Demo is running. Now let's go talk with AI and ask if it can recognize the Colossus MCP Demo server. It's thinking, yes, I can see Colossus MCP Demo, get greeting, generate a personalized greeting. Yeah, give it a try. Okay, now we have request and response from the MCP server. My personal hack when I'm working with an AI, after I'm getting any kind of working state of the project, I'm preferring to make a commit. I'm getting a safe version to which I can always roll back in case if on the next iteration AI will totally screw up the project. Now we can add another tool to fetch trading advice data from the DB. I will just copy the data schema, services, and DB connector from my previous video on Colossus Graph. From the Colossus Graph project, I have copied the schema of the trading setup recommendations, as well as a service to fetch the recommendations for the particular pair in a date range, as well as the database connector. So I'm using this database connector in the main script. Initially, I will get the connection to the MongoDB. As well, I'm using .env, and now I having new environment variable MongoDB connection string. So what I will do now, I will ask Copilot to add another tool which will going to read data from the recommendations. Here's my prompt. Add another tool that fetches the trading advice for the given time period, time range to be specified by the start date and end date in ISO format. I will add use grid setup advice service for the tool. Let's see what we will get. Amazing. Now we have another tool registration. The ID is get trading advice by date range, title get trading advice by date range, there is description, not that much important right now, there is an input schema which is described by Zod, there is a pair, and there is a start date, end date, and the callback function is getting pair, start date, end date, and passing it to the grid setup advice service. By the way, where is the service? Yeah, service is initialized a bit earlier. I prefer it to initialize in a different place, but for the demo that's enough. Let's keep all the changes. Let's build the project. Nice, it's built. Well, not the best build tool, but anyways, it can be fixed later on. And now let's extend the configuration of the Claude Desktop with the environment variable, because now we have the environment variable required to connect to MongoDB, which is MongoDB connection string. It's not going to be 3x's, it's going to be something different. To pass the environment variables, there is special variable environment, and here is a MongoDB connection string. And now we just need to restart the Claude Desktop. It's still downloading updates. We can go to settings, go to developer, check that everything is running. Now let's go to Colossus MCP desktop configuration. Is there a new tool? Oh, now it recognizes the new tool. It's saying there is a new tool available, get trading advices. Okay, and I'm saying give me trading advice data for the last week, give you assessment on how accurate they are. So let's try it out. It's even guessed that the pair to use is Bitcoin to USDT. However, I haven't added any kind of prompt for it. Quite clever. There is a result, there is start date, end date, there is a response. And now I have all the assessment. Now I have a data, now I have the connection, now I have everything in place, so I can start my analytics conversation with AI. I will share the link to the GitHub in the description below. First of all, our inter-process communication is standard input-output, but it's only a layer. You can develop and test MCP handlers regardless of the connection type. It's just a handler after all. With STDIO, you have to be careful with console.log, as everything what is going to be printed into console is messaged to the agent. However, you can use standard output error and LLM will not be disturbed. I have used ISO dates. During my testing, I have noticed that older models are prone to miscalculate Unix timestamp. The date is correct, but the year can be 2025. Still, you have to choose a more wearable way to operate with AI. MCP servers are a clever way to give an AI runtime access to data and tools. Jarvis from the Iron Man movies is quite real nowadays. Well, we already have a thinking and executing core, we just have to attach hands to it. MCP is the exact way to go. Please like and subscribe, share in the comments how you use MCP and does your project or product expose any MCP interfaces. See you in the next video. Stay safe and automated.